contrast and how to add contrast to a photo to get the best effect out of it. There's a couple things that I like to do when I'm starting with the picture. So this is basically just out of the camera. I added a few little adjustments, but nothing you'll notice to this panel. So I wanted to be able to show you what this would look like if we were trying to add contrast to the picture. Right now the contrast isn't so bad. You can see the brightest parts of the picture are probably somewhere down here, and the darkest parts of the picture are probably hiding somewhere in the leaves up that direction. What I want to do though is I really want to find a way to bring even more contrast out of it, and there's a couple of places I think that I would point you to if you're trying to do this. The first step that I always like to do, and this is optional but it's something that I think is helpful, is to turn the photo black and white. And for me that just helps me kind of see the tone a little bit better than even when I'm just using the color picture. So the obvious first place that we would look to add contrast is the contrast slider. And you can see if I bring this down, we lose contrast. We can see more detail in the leaves, but we actually lose contrast and we kind of get what we would call like a muddy or flat look. And normally that can be kind of less interesting for the photo. I'm going to go the other direction though and just try to add a little bit of contrast to this, and so now you'll see that everything has gotten a little bit darker, right? So especially the darker in the leaves and right here on the flower, those places have gotten really dark, almost too dark. So this is my second little tip. Once you've gotten past that, you also have these tools that you can play around with. Highlights, obviously, if I wanted to make the highlights brighter than I could, if I don't love how dark the shadows have gotten, I could bring that up so I could see just a little bit more detail there, right? If I kind of go back and forth, you can see that this is really just affecting the shadows in the picture more than anything. And then same thing with the white. In the picture, I can just make the white brighter, or I can make the white darker. And then same thing with the black. I can make the black lighter, or I can make the black darker. So all of these tools kind of give me a little bit of control. And if I didn't even add contrast here, let's say I just did the white all the way up and the black all the way down, I'm still going to get a super contrasty image, and in fact probably too much contrast. So you can start to decide which tools that you want to play with to get the most effect out of some of these. So that's another option, is to play around with that. And I just want to give you one more option that I think is really powerful if you're just trying to think of something to do, and that's here, this tone curve. And what I would say, your tone curve is going to actually be really similar to these tools up here, but it's just a little bit more visual. And you can kind of see what's happening. On the right hand side we have the brightest parts of the picture, on the left hand side we have the darkest. So if I grab here and I pull up, it's going to make the photos brighter. If I grab here and pull down, it's going to make the darker part of the pictures even darker. So actually just by adding what's called a little S-curve, you can get a lot of contrast out of your photo. That's a little too much for me. I'm going to bring that up that way. And let's see if we can play that. And that's pretty good. Probably a little too much, so I'm actually going to just pop my shadows up just a little bit there so I can see some of the detail. And then I hit color, and you can see I've ended up with a lot more contrast than when I started. And we can actually go back and forth. There's my before, there's my after. And you can kind of see the sky has gotten a lot brighter, and the detail in the flower is a lot more noticeable. Now, this might not be exactly what you're going for if you're trying to do it, but those are all the tools I can recommend to add contrast to your photo right now. So go play with those, and good luck, and I'll talk to you later.